Now outside, I may have appeared plain and whitewashed like the outside of the tabernacle, but my inner life was rich with celebration like the stories of conquest at Bunnell's Garage on Saturday afternoon. On the edge of that grease rack, I could picture the day that I would be free of all of my inhibitions. I would stand tall among the Bunnell brothers telling my own stories of honor and conquest. I could imagine myself wearing a long trench coat and a felt hat. The very sight of me coming into Bunnell's Garage on a stormy Saturday afternoon would cause a hush in the celebration. And I would say in my Humphrey Bogart voice, "Give me one with ice." Then I would spellbind my father, my uncles, and my cousins with tales of honor and adventure that would amaze the drinkers of Jim Beam whiskey everywhere. By age 14, my fantasies were so well entrenched that I made a firm commitment to give them life. One Saturday afternoon, I sat alone in a camp trailer which served as the office on Bunnell's used car lot. I had saved enough money to buy my own pack of Kent menthol cigarettes from a vending machine at Eben's El Paso service station. Now, Eben was one of the saints, so I took great care to make sure his attention was diverted when I made my purchase. I sat in that trailer office and I pulled off the cellophane wrapping and removed my first premeditated taste of sin. As I lit up, I rubbed the paper along the cellulose just like I knew Humphrey Bogart would do it. I'd seen it done firsthand too because my cousins were veteran smokers by this time. I leaned back in that swivel chair and I put my feet up on the greasy veneer desk. And I inhaled menthol smoke right down into my Converse tennis shoes. After 2 more drags, my ears began to tingle. I felt a rush of pleasure mixed with excitement and fear. It was something like getting out of trouble by telling a lie. You know you're safe for the moment, and that's good. But you also know that there might soon be hell to pay. Buying my own pack of cigarettes was an outward sign of my inward commitment to become a smoker. I hadn't told my cousins of my commitment yet, so I hadn't received any real honor for the act. I planned to tell them later that afternoon at the Grease Rack celebration. I knew I would finally be accepted with open arms. I smoked that first Kent down to the filter, squashed it out in the ashtray, and prepared to walk the 6 blocks home for lunch. I rolled a pack of Kents up in the sleeve of my JCPenney's t-shirt. I'd seen Marlon Brando do it that way in the streetcar named Desire. As I walked, I pictured myself as a hulking form with long straight hair held in place by sweat and wheel-bearing grease. Already smelled like cigarette smoke, cleaning solvent, and motor oil, all the things that make a boy into a real man. As I crossed 5th North, I lit up my second Kent menthol. Now, smoking on the move didn't feel as good as smoking at rest, and my former high gave way to nausea. The nausea cracked my concentration on my Humphrey Bogart Marlon Brando image, and in their place, as I got closer to home, I began to picture my mother looking out the front window as I walked up the street with my hair slicked back, a pack of Kent cigarettes rolled up in the sleeve of my t-shirt, and a cigarette hanging off my lower lip. By the time I crossed 2nd North, I knew there was a good chance I was going to be sick. The swagger in my step had given way to a slow amble. I knew my mother saw me as basically good, somewhat foolish, and very immature. I could hear her voice. "Stephen, I'm not going to allow you to be a bum." As I crossed the canal on 4th North, I knew I was approaching the point of no return. Once I got through the park just beyond the canal, I could hear my mother's voice, and I knew I was in her range. I stopped for a moment, and I looked in the brown, swirling water of that canal. After a 2-minute mental battle that seemed like hours, I threw 18 unsmoked cigarettes over the fence. as I watched a dirty back eddy flush the Kents out of sight. With the disappearance of those cigarettes vanished my first real attempt at becoming something other than what my mother knew me to be.
Cool. Ah!